All right, welcome to the Max Effort Kitchen podcast. I am Matt. This is Cornell. Great. What was I going to say? Weekend. I didn't need three greats. It's been a good weekend because it's been very relaxing. You know what I mean? Like kind of rainy, kind of foggy, kind of relaxing, and that's just been really great for me. We had our in-laws here. And that was what it was, and fun, and now it's over and back to the week. But Cornell, how you doing, buddy?
Good. There was a split second where I was like, right when I saw you were about to do the introduction, I was like, I should just do it.
Yeah.
Just Dude, to freak you out, knowing that we're live and just to see your face. But I was like, nah.
I'd love it. I think that would be great. It would catch me so off guard. I'd be like, what? This is awesome.
There was a podcast I used to be a part of, and at one point the main host couldn't be on it for one day, and one of the other co-hosts was like, can we just do it? And the guy was like, yeah, why not? And that was so weird, but it was one of the best shows.
Yeah, I remember that show. Yeah, no, it's hey, this is the community thing, man. You just jump in where you think you should jump in. I love that. I think when I have to direct people too much, I kind of lose a little bit of I don't know. I'm just like, I just don't want to direct. I just want to be like, me, because we don't. It's not like we're talking most of the time. We're not talking through the week about what we're talking about. It's very much like you pop on, we talk for like 5 minutes. Hey, let's talk about this. All right, cool. Very improvised, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm all about that. So
I think that type of improvised stuff, I mean, it can work in multiple ways. There's also times that we have research stuff and that we have done
correct
stuff to prepare for a show. But the 3 or 4 minutes we were talking before, I was like, hey, I'm not going to say anymore because we can just keep going. So why don't we just have this conversation live?
What we could do, Cornell? We could monetize the podcast and sell the pre-show. No. Anyways. Cornell, hey, have you just had a birthday party? I know that. Have you cooked anything fun this weekend?
I had to do all the cooking all weekend.
so fun may not be the word, but you did cook. That's great.
So people who've listened for a while probably know, or people who know me know, that I have a fairly large family. I came from a family of 4 kids. I have the least amount of kids out of those 4. There's 20. When we get together and it's not my wife's side, it's like 24 people.
Okay.
And so today was those 24. Actually, it was 22 because 2 of the husbands weren't there. It's fire season. One of them is Cal Fire, and the other one was in Vegas having a guy trip.
Nice.
But then it was also my wife's side of the family with her parents and her sister and their kid, plus my dad's niece, I guess my cousin. Complicated marriages way before I was born. So
yeah, no, understood. Trust me, I come from them.
There's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it started at 4:00, and my wife did not sleep well last night because we went to the mall for my son's birthday last night, this big mall down in San Diego. They went to a escape room, and we didn't get back till like 11 something, and she just didn't sleep well. I think she had a coffee before that to wake up, and I knew I'm smarter than that. And so she didn't sleep well. So she basically like passed out all day. So nice. I was the one who was outside cleaning up the backyard, outside cleaning up the front yard. Yesterday, I mulched this big area in our front yard. And then I was like, so what are we cooking? And she's like, burgers and hot dogs. And I'm like, oh, good Lord, this is going to be a lot of burgers. So this morning, I just was like, oh, look, tri-tip is on sale, uncut, $4.95 a pound. Wow. Untrimmed. So I went and got 10 pounds of that, and I ended up smoking that while I was doing a bunch of other stuff today.
Hell yeah.
And like you know that when I'm smoking it, I'm doing it the real way. I'm not just
Yes.
pushing play on the pellets and going. I'm tending the fire.
It will
I'm
be a
doing the whole
forever
thing.
dig. Yeah, well, it'll be a forever dig. People get used to it.
Yeah. Hey, when I move, I'll probably get a real one.
You
But
know, it's fine. Like I think doing it both ways. If you know how to do it both ways, then you have the option. But like, yeah. Anyways,
like
go
my
ahead.
brother-in-law came over. She's like, "Oh, what temperature are you cooking?" I'm like, "I have no idea. I just
Yeah.
made sure there was smoke coming out of it, and then
Yep.
I just kept track of the meat's temperature, and then I pulled it off and wrapped it, and it was good."
There you go. See, yeah, you just you know the meat. You know what it looks like. You know how long it needs to be on. You got. I mean, you got a pretty. You used the. Did you use the little barrel one?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and that thing works perfectly, man.
And
It's
I did do something a little different. I chopped up that tri-tip into probably like the size of like a big baked potato each,
nice,
like
nice.
pieces, so that I could
Yeah.
fit like 6-7 pounds once it was trimmed.
Oh, that's great. That
So
sounds fantastic. Kind of like oversized, like burnt ends type situation.
yeah, and then I
Or
just
yeah.
sliced it all up and I put it. So what I
Oh
like to do
yeah.
is I smoke it for about an hour and 10, and then
Mm-hmm.
I go and I brush on barbecue sauce over the whole thing, so then
Ah,
it'll like kind of caramelize that.
that's the way to do
And
it.
then I took it all off, let it rest for a little while. Then I sliced it all up and put it in a big like casserole dish with more barbecue sauce, and then just threw it in the oven, let it sit there just till when about 20 minutes before people came over, we turned it to 200 degrees and just let it warm up, and it was great.
Nice. That sounds perfect, man. Well, I thought you were going to tell me that you bought tri-tip and then ground it all down and made burgers out of all that. I was like, oh man, you were ambitious.
I
Uh,
considered it, but
yeah,
I have my barbecue is kind of like not doing that great.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
pretty old. I don't want to
yeah,
get a new one with the move coming, and I
yeah.
don't want to buy a new one and then move it.
Ah,
So
well, that's smart. I think what you did was super smart, and it probably tasted better, if not just as good.
yeah, I
But
mean,
like,
we still made 10 hamburgers and 7 hot
yeah.
dogs, and everything got eaten.
Jeez, man, that's a lot of people. Oh, I mean, my introvert alarm is just like freaking out. But like again, I know I understand because I did come from a big family, and that they've all spread out and they're gone at this point in life. So I have this like bubble to where I'm forcing myself to be social, and it's actually a good thing. I was telling Juan about that, but that's a whole nother situation. But I kind of played to the weather today, dude, and I made cornbread and my go-to chili with the whole can of like chipotle peppers and a bunch of brown sugar and meat. The only thing I didn't have was the bell peppers, and I weirdly missed them, but not a big deal. But I did something with the cornbread where I make the mixture. I put in a bunch of sour cream in the mixture and some honey, mix it all up, cook it off, and then I took like a half a stick of butter and some hot honey, melted the butter so it was down to a liquid, put the honey in there, stirred it up until it was like emulsified. And then when I pulled out the cornbread, I poked a bunch of holes in it and just poured that over top,
Oh,
and it
nice.
put this glaze on the top of it, and then like it seeped in the middle, and then I let it sit. And so
Oh,
the the butter like kind of hardened a little bit, and I'm like this. So I kept on getting these bites of like just like salty butter and honey, and oh man, it was
that's
great.
awesome.
And then I served the chili over top of that, and nah, that's just the way I eat it.
That
So
sounds awesome. One of the
yeah,
other downsides, so I'm with you where I'm much more of an introvert. I
yeah,
If I'm in a small group, I will generally be the extroverted person, but
hmm,
if anyone wants to take that position, I'm
oh
like
yeah,
I'm not
oh yeah,
even holding the reins. So,
yeah, I'm with you.
um but everyone came over, and everyone in my extended family, they just drink coffee from a pot. And they're all like,
Love
"Can
it.
you make me a coffee?" I'm like, "Oh, here we go."
Oh dang, yeah. Because you don't have the go-to Mr. Coffee machine, right? You just have the
I mean,
espresso.
we have one, but I don't even know where it is. I have an
Yeah,
idea where it is.
right.
But they weren't like, can you make some coffee?" They're like, "Can you make me a coffee?"
Oh, I see. They were like, they
And I
wanted
was
your
like,
yeah.
so I did make 12 cinnamon honey lattes, and then
Holy crap.
two Americanos after those were done.
Wow.
So,
So speaking of coffee,
yep,
I have a confession. I got on the Polo this morning, and I told you guys I was going to the store for creamer.
I haven't seen it
Now,
yet. So
okay,
no
cool. Well,
jumping ahead.
it was a bold-faced lie, and I'm here to out myself because yeah, I'm just I had a pumpkin spice latte this morning,
That's
and I
fine.
was like, huh?
That's
It was
fine.
yeah, I know, but I'm like, I for some reason I was like, I can't say that I'm getting a pumpkin spice, and then I was like, I gotta out myself, dude. This is fun. It was really good, and I don't it's not like something I go after a lot, but holy crap, it was so great. I think I
So
drank it before I even got home.
where'd you get it, and how do
Okay,
you get it?
I got it at Starbucks. I get a triple shot,
Okay.
and I tell them to do. Usually, I tell them to do a half the pumps of
Yep.
pumpkin.
Okay.
But my wife ordered it this time, so she only got the triple shot. It was fine. I mean, like I said, I almost drank the entire. It was just a medium size, and
Sure.
I only drank. I drank it on the way home, which is like a 5 minute drive. So, um, yeah, I'm completely like guilty of like being embarrassed of that for some reason.
Well, you
But
weren't lying because you were going to the store to get creamer. You
so
just drank it all in the in that cup.
exactly. There you go. Yeah. And it was like total moment. There's my confession for the day. But I did really enjoy it. So there it is.
No, that's your one allowance for the year. You're good.
Love the comment. That's awesome. Yeah, I think so. Okay. So, you, you made,
No,
you made, go ahead.
I think pumpkin tea is delicious. I think that
I like it too.
it's blown out of proportion, and it people make too big of a deal out of it
Yeah, I
for
know.
us to feel like we can just go to the store and get it. And like, yeah, no, I don't think there's any problem with it. But whenever I order literally anything from Starbucks that has anything sweet,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily tell them additional shots, but I always tell them half sweet.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
my
and
go-to. And then I taste it and I'm like, this is half sweet. Holy
yeah,
crap.
I know. But we were having the conversation about the medicine ball, and I was telling you how Alana was making it. And you were like, yeah, I cut out all the sugar. And so I asked her, I said, how much sugar do you put in? She goes, I don't put in any sugar either. And I was like, okay, that makes total sense. That's why I like it better. But I had one from Starbucks. It was the weekend of the WSO, and I was out by the airport, and so I was just like, I needed something. I had gotten sick the day before and whatever, and I was drinking that thing, and I couldn't finish it because it was so darn sweet. Like, holy crap! And we've looked up the recipe. It's like a quarter cup of sugar that goes
Yeah.
in that thing. It's nuts.
Well, that's what's scary with all these people catching diabetes. It's their
Well,
Starbucks.
yeah. Yeah, go get your blood work done. I guarantee your doctor will say you're pre-diabetic. Like, especially if you're shopping at Starbucks. Okay, enough bagging on Starbucks. But hey, listen, I jumped on a live stream through Sean Waxman was doing this weekend, and it sparked some good conversation about just the whole community of weightlifting. His motive or the reason why he did it was more about the political part of it and all the voting going on right now in the ballots. But it turned into a question after SoCal jumped on there and said something about like the exposure of weightlifting. And to me, like that kind of invigorated something in me that I was like, man, I would love to get more exposure in this world or in this weightlifting world. I would love to get more, and I said this like authentic exposure because I think the rate that or the way that CrossFit went was it just got too big too quick, and now kind of look at it, it's a little bit of an afterthought at this point. It definitely had its like up and down, its peak and valley. But as far as like in your opinion, like getting exposure into this sport, like what does that mean to you?
Before I answer that,
Yes.
when I hit mute, does it take a second to mute?
No.
Or is it okay? Because I hit mute and then I coughed, and then you
Yeah.
had this like look, and I'm like, and then it popped up and it said your mic is muted, and I was like, oh crap, does it take like 2 seconds?
No, I didn't hear you cough
right.
at all.
All right, we're good.
I think, yeah, you're good. You're good.
Okay. I just want to. I've done that a couple times over the last couple of months.
I've seen you do it because I'm like, oh shit, is my sound out?
No, okay. I liked what you said, that CrossFit was a very good exposure to weightlifting, but I also think that it was a lie of what weightlifting is.
Correct.
And it what CrossFit is a very good exposure to people learning how to work out with a barbell.
Yeah.
But if you've followed any CrossFitter ever talking about the press out rule and then now people like counts in CrossFit, it's like, it's not weightlifting. It's ground overhead, and it's a clean is not weightlifting. A clean and jerk is weightlifting. And in CrossFit, it's ground overhead. That's one of the very common phrases that they use in competitions now, one motion or two, and shouldered overhead. So I think when I did CrossFit a long time ago, it was like we all thought it was a big exposure, and everyone was saying, "Oh, we have to thank CrossFit for getting us this much, like opening the world." And like it is true, but at least people know what weightlifting is now, like just from doing CrossFit. But I don't think it was a good. The press out rule is just it's a thing. It's what sets us apart from them.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that we're on two different sides, but at the end of the day, they're seeing how many reps they can do at a low weight. We're trying to do it just once as heavy as possible. So it is a completely different sport.
It is. Yeah.
So no, I think that was like a lot of word vomit, but
no. Well, here, let me jump in on that, because I think that you are you're really on to something as far as that goes. Is they are two different sports, 100%. And I've done CrossFit at a very intense level, and I'm working on and doing weightlifting at a very intense level as we speak. And so it's CrossFit showed me the barbell. I knew about the barbell. I was doing power cleans in high school for football, right? I wish I had tape of that. It was horrendous. But I was doing power clean, so I knew what a power clean was. I think CrossFit, what I was really referring to was that the way the business structure of CrossFit, on how they got exposure and then they blew up, and then you had I don't know, what was it, like 2008 to probably 2020, they were huge, right? And then they kind of just dropped off the map. And it's still there. The games aren't as fun to watch, but they are.
People are dying now.
People are dying. Exactly. And I'm not laughing at people dying, but it's
surprised it took this long.
I mean, come on. When I got into, you heard about people dying of rhabdo, which I don't know anybody.
But I mean, at the games, I'm surprised it took this long.
Well, that's a whole nother story. But yeah,
too soon.
Too soon. Yes, but I think yes, it was a good avenue to get into weightlifting, but it was a very stark, eye-opening difference to what weightlifting was from CrossFit. And I'm that person that came from CrossFit to weightlifting. And it was a straight up 2-year, really transition to really figure it out. So yes, it was good exposure, but you're right. They're two different sports. The movements may be called similar, in some gyms.
Mhm.
But I just don't think they're comparable. The two lifts, obviously, you just said that. So as far as exposure goes, like, man, I don't know. I don't know what you think about this. But like getting in front of our younger athletes, getting in front of kids, getting in the college level, having some sort of, I don't know if funding is the right word, but some sort of backing to be able to have it as a part of the curriculum in weightlifting in high school. Does that make sense?
No, I think that would be great. I think the hardest part doing that is you said you wish you had video of you doing power cleans in college or high school.
High school, yeah,
So the person teaching you probably didn't know what they were doing.
exactly.
And because it is a very technical sport and there's a very low injury rate in weightlifting, but it's
Hmm.
because everything is so methodical and the movement pattern is the exact same all the time. It's not like a lateral movement. I don't know all the other technical terms, but like it's up and down, and
Yeah,
it's predictable. Misses are generally predictable. Like not that you're gonna miss or not, but the way that you're gonna miss is normally gonna be in one way or the other. It's not like
hmm.
you're gonna get hit from someone you don't see getting blindsided and knocked out. And I mean, it could happen, but
Yeah, yeah. There've been times,
um,
right?
but it because it's so technical, it's not easy to teach, and it takes someone who knows what they're doing.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
I wish that there was ways that it could be taught in a better way than like obviously people who do CrossFit, they're getting massive amounts of exposure with that, with how to do a clean and how to do a snatch, but they're not being necessarily taught right. And
Yeah.
I've met people, I mean, I meet people all the time that are trying out the gym for the first time, like, oh yeah, I have 12 years of CrossFit experience. I know how to do this. And I'm like, ugh. I'm like, just go back
Yeah.
to CrossFit because honestly, it's probably not even worth trying to break you down because you're not gonna like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Um,
okay. Now, I'm going to interrupt you real quick because this is kind of, I was really hoping you would say that. And the fact of like having the right people to teach it in the high schools.
mhm.
And this is a very far out there, crazy idea, but like, why wouldn't USAW get on the board and be like, listen, let's get your life conditioning or your football coach or whoever's teaching the strength at your high school, let's get them certified. They pay the money, they get certified. Not to say just because you're certified, you know how to coach it,
Mhm.
but maybe there's backing by our governing body that
Mhm.
that helps provide that sound structure. Like, and I use Sean Waxman as an example because that's what he's doing. And he's not in there teaching them how to clean, jerk, and snatch every time all day. Like if you watch his videos, he's having them doing all kinds of agility stuff. He's training a football team or he's training a soccer team or he's more doing team training, but there is some of that mixed in. And I think that if you have a person, not like Sean, but like, that has the ability to coach, that has competed or at least done the sport for a little bit, have these schools hire them, have these schools bring people in like that, get certified. And dude, this is like a 10, 15, 20 years down the road, but like, man, think about the infrastructure if we could start at the high school level and the lifting that the United States would be able to compete in the world, because I think we compete, but we don't compete that well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
I like that. I do think that one of the hardest parts that we have to compete with. I
Yes.
haven't researched this.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it out there, and I think it's pretty true. Other than
Yeah.
certain sports, if you think about the world as a whole,
Yeah.
soccer slash football, that the rest of
Mhm.
the world calls it.
Football.
I know that that's real big. I've never heard of a European NBA or NFL. I've
Right.
never heard of I I've heard a little bit about baseball out there, but I don't think that they have a baseball league.
Yeah.
Like our country is like American sports.
Correct.
That's where the money is. That's where if you get someone who is very strong, hey, you can go to the Olympics and win a gold medal.
Yeah.
Or you can go get $10 million a year and play football.
Exactly.
Guess what? I'm going to be a football player.
Yeah. No, I get it. I totally get what you're saying. I just, do you think that would, like, I mean, I don't know if it would ever change. You know, with the more exposure, with the popularity comes endorsements, comes advertising, TV contracts, and then there's money.
Yeah.
It's a long, but I'm with you, dude, because I'm the same way. Do I want a gold medal or do I want $10 million for playing a sport? Man, there's are a lot of variables that go with that. But yes, if you just take and compare the two, yeah, I'm taking the $10 million just like that.
And I think the other hard part with a lot of these things is team sports is you are part of a team. Yeah. It's not all eyes on you. So if your team does good, and let's say that you could be the star for a year or two, and then for the next 4 or 5 years, they're still keeping you on the team. You're still making that money. The team is still doing good, but you're not necessarily doing you're not the star anymore. Weightlifting, it's all you. You can rise up. You can have a freak accident and everything's over. Or you're just not the top number one anymore, and then nobody's really paying too much attention to you. So
that's a good point. Like, weightlifting has a shelf life. Weightlifting has a little bit of a more volatile shelf life than, I mean, you could playing football, basketball, and get hurt. Yes, I think the variables are there, but when all eyes are on you, and you have that, I mean, okay, well, there's already pressure on a platform. Now let's intensify it by a million people watching you on TV. Not only, and I'm kind of taking a turn right here where I'm saying not only are the injuries going to get higher, but the drug use is going to get higher, all because the pressure of playing this sport that, or playing, I guess, doing this sport that we're all doing that has so much pressure now. I mean, I don't know. I have never researched this. I can only go based off of, what I've seen, read, heard, and whatever. But weightlifting is a lot more regulated in drug use than, let's say, football. Let's just use that. Like, they're using.
Hey guys, 3 weeks from now we're getting drug tested. So stop what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in the amount of time that I've watched and been a part of football, I think I've heard of maybe 5 pro football players get a 2-month suspension for drug use, and it's just like, oh, okay.
But we're gonna delay that suspension till off season, and
yes, exactly. And that goes to talk about, like, all these major contracts and endorsements that are feeding into the sport that are allowing them to pay them $150 million like a year. I'm like, it's crazy. And I know weightlifting would never get there. But on a fundamental level, I think it's good to have our kids exposed to sports that are just as intense as a sport like football, but maybe a little has more longevity, has I don't want to say safer, but I think it is. Just knowing what I know about football and concussions and all that stuff, like, weightlifting safer. And like, let's expose our kids to that stuff. I went to a high school that had it was the major sports. It was soccer, baseball, football, track, basketball, wrestling. Like, I didn't get exposed to swimming. Shoot, I didn't even know what lacrosse was sorry, Damon. Lacrosse was for the longest time. There were so many sports that I was like, man, I wish I had the exposure to these. Who knows? I may not have played football and went a different direction, but yeah, I guess you're as a kid, you're only able to take what you're exposed to or what you're given.
Yeah. So this just popped in my head. I have a couple things that popped in my head, but
Awesome.
wrestling is one of those sports where it's individual. I
Yes.
think you are still part of a team. I don't know if it's team points, exactly how that works, but it is one-on-one. But when you're at a school, like it's kind of over unless you're going to go into the WWE, WWF,
Yeah.
which I would like to think is what the new enhanced games will be. RWWE.
Yes, dude.
So
That's
that's where
awesome.
the super lifters are going to go.
Yeah, I like that.
But no, I was thinking that it couldn't be necessarily what we're doing under USAW, but I think that there should be like a new type of a sport that would somehow be as a team, where it's
Yeah.
like, so you're going to have a team of, or like different schools would compete against each other, and it wouldn't be one lifter versus another lifter, but it would be like, this person's only going to do the snatch, this person's only going to do the clean and jerk, or this person's only going to do the clean, this person's going to do the clean and jerk, and this person's going to do the jerk off the blocks. And create something where it's weightlifted, and I would do it all Sinclair. I wouldn't do weight classes. And then I would do something that has to do with how many misses you had. And like stuff like that. So
I like that. I mean, that speaks to the technical ability of, like, maybe you gotta make the team, the clean and jerk team or something. You got to be able to work up to being able to do the snatch in the competition. And that really, I think, slows the process, but gives them drive and exposure. That makes sense to me, because you're not going to see high school kids going out there snatch and clean and jerk really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some maybe 1%, but like, yeah,
but
why not?
Majority of high school boys, especially girls, are a little bit different.
Yeah.
They're still trying to just learn to walk around. They're like little giraffes half the time, all lanky and skinny, and like they can grow so fast, so quick that the lifts aren't going to be the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it would be, it needs to be a different version of it, but it should be like sponsored by USA Weightlifting.
Exactly.
Like endorsed by them. And it's like, okay, this is what the after youth program is like, is regular weightlifting. I was just talking to somebody at the gym a couple weeks ago, and I was like, could you imagine if they changed the sport like they did when they got rid of the press, like the clean and press? Like, what if they threw something else in now, and we're so,
oh boy,
like my
body hurts.
We're so like one track mind of like, all right, snatch, clean, jerk, we're done. And then they're like, hey, you're gonna do like overhead squat from the rack. Or I don't know what they would do. I mean, there's not another lift, because they could maybe add in clean, but can you imagine having to do like snatch, then clean and jerk, and then clean?
No.
Like,
I could, no. Holy crap, dude! Like I was saying, my body's hurting just like moving. I'm like, no, that doesn't sound great. Man, I mean, you make that's something interesting, because when they did change that, like, the adaptability of everybody, I wonder, like, kind of what that window looked like of like the next year. What did the competitions look like? Like, how bad were they? Well, I don't know.
So the way that people were built is totally different now than they were back then.
Yeah.
If you looked at the muscle mass and where they would hold the muscles, like now everybody holds massive legs and decent sized backs and skinny little scrawny arms. Back then it was like it was all based on how much you could press.
Right. Right.
And people were pressing pretty close to what they were clean and jerking.
Yeah. That's
Like
crazy.
and it wasn't because they were really good at pressing; it's because they weren't good at jerking.
Right. Right. Exactly. I mean, yeah, we've all done like what we thought was a jerk, but it was actually we just pressed it, you know? I mean, in some sort of a fashion, but like what I'm saying is like what the window, like then so we're taking out the let's see, what wasn't there a section when or a time when there could be no contact, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So when they said, okay, we can have contact, like what I wonder what that window looked like of like the next year. Did the training look better? Did people adapt to it? Did they make that like pivot to be really like good at it again? I just wondered. I would love to see some footage of like that year following that they said, oh, we can make contact now.
My guess is it was probably there. This is just popping in my brain right now.
Yeah.
Leading up to that, or however long it was, there was people who were really good at probably doing the lifts, but they were making contact, and they're like, I don't care. And
Good
it was
point.
probably the whole argument that now we have. It's not so much we have it anymore, but that we used to have with straight arms versus bent arms.
Yes.
And that was probably what they were all like freaking out about. You made contact. It's not a real lift, or like that kind of a thing. And then all of a sudden they were allowed to make contact. They're like, haha, suckers.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think you're right. It's funny you say the bent arm versus a straight arm because I've heard probably 4 different people in the past 2 weeks talk about how, oh, he bent his arms early. That's not the right way to do it. And I'm just like, I kind of chuckle in my head because I'm like, here we go again with this debate. Like,
Well, I was just somewhere. I don't want to expose anybody.
yeah.
So I was just somewhere,
Mhm.
and a very high level lifter was telling somebody that, well, you need to make, if I'm going to coach you, our goal is for you to make contact in the clean, like low thigh, like low to mid thigh.
What?
And I was like, that person is repeating back what they were told, and they are a very good lifter, and that's how they lift.
Yeah.
You're not going to be that person ever,
Yeah.
and you're
No,
a hip
please
cleaner,
don't.
so you're going to stay a hip cleaner. So we're just going to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And they probably don't know how to fix you, or they don't know how to teach you how to do it this way.
Oh man.
And the person I was talking to is a coach, so they were starting to be like, all right, I think this is what we need to do. And they were also talking about putting on a belt from the first rep. Like, you don't have to make it tight, but you should have it on so that it doesn't feel weird when you put it on later. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
So here's the thing: is that's always been a thing in CrossFit, um, and I know it because it was told to me when I was in CrossFit. Like, wear your belt early on, that way you don't have to like worry about putting it on, and it doesn't mess with your form. I've never been the guy that's really done that. And we had to talk about the belts last time on the show about like kind of pressing the limit and strengthening your back instead. But you said something earlier that was talking about the press out. And I wonder if this is a really big indication that this sounds stupid. CrossFitters are taking over weightlifting. Like, we have more CrossFitters in weightlifting than we do weightlifters. I don't think that's true. And I don't think it's a big deal, but I think I'm like, I'm starting to hear a lot of these philosophies I learned in the world of CrossFit come into this sport. And I'm like, no, we need a press out. We need the press out rule. That's our standard. We want a strong back. Let's not wear that belt. Let's just strengthen our back. The belt, like we said last week, the belt is a safety net. It is not a tool to help you lift. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a performance enhancement.
Yay!
And you should performance enhancement at 40%.
I like that. That was perfect. It's a performance enhancement. Oh, Cornell, this has been a great show. Let's see. I think we kind of talked about everything, or at least touched on a little bit of everything that I was thinking about. Anything else really pop in your brain that you wanted to digest through all that?
No, but
Okay.
I'm gonna try lifting tomorrow for the first time in
Hell yeah, you are.
2 weeks.
How excited are you?
So I had a minor no more kids surgery done about 10
Yeah.
days ago.
Yep.
And honestly, Friday I was like, oh, I'm gonna be one of the 4% that it has pain for like 6 months.
I remember you saying
It's
that.
gonna be me. And then I woke up Saturday, I'm like, I feel pretty good.
Oh, nice. Heck
So
yeah.
we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna start light, work up
Nice.
slowly, and yeah. So I'm
Well,
excited.
congratulations on that. I mean,
Thank
we can talk next time about the woos, because you said something on the polo last week that I forgot to respond to, but and maybe this is a little teaser for next show, but like the way our psyche works when we're not lifting.
Mm-hmm.
I go down rabbit holes myself, and I get grumpy, and I am not a delightful person to be around, and my wife will be the first one to attest of that. But I will start nitpicking and going through the house being like, what is going on? Like, anyways, I don't want to get into it too much, but I think, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We can just say that there was one evening this week that I was emptying out cabinets to clean out the inside of the cabinets with lots of Windex and scrubbers, and I did not care that I was using the nice the nice dishcloths to just scrub crap out of everything. I think we might have thrown those away.
Yeah. I like that. That's solid. I definitely been there. All right, man. Well, good luck tomorrow. I think I think you'll do fine. And keep it up and freaking let us know how it goes next time. I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow, but everybody, thank you for listening. And we'll talk to y'all later. Adios.
Bye.